Migration is a kind of gamble, but also a kind of second chance. The ability to move to a different society in a different part of the world and start over again.
Most of these early migrants coming from Europe didn't have great survival skills. A lot of them were coming from cities, but even the farmers were coming from a cultivated place.
Some migrants had enough knowledge to understand the challenges that awaited them on this side of the Atlantic. Others simply did not, and instead they learned by doing.
After a tough start, the Quakers adapt and thrive. In just 3 years, 90 more ships arrive, carrying English colonists.
It was almost exclusively English settlers. They were all speaking the same language, obviously, and establishing sort of institutions and customs. And they were the ones that clearly had the most influence on the original character of America as a nation.
It will be centuries before enslaved Africans or Native Americans are recognized as citizens. But Quaker ideas of equality, freedom, and government are at the heart of our democracy.
The United States owes a heavy debt to the written document drafted to govern Pennsylvania. It speaks to the kinds of individual liberties which were incorporated into the United States Constitution.
And if you had Quaker ancestors, we owe them another debt. Quakers never used the submissive bow. Instead, they popularized the handshake, a simple symbol of equality. Today, almost 26 million Americans claim English descent. 2,000 of them descendants of William Buckman.
All right, so we've done our New England colonies. So we have our purse right there. We're now going to turn to the next blank page. You could do it on the back if you like, because I use markers. Mine's a little bit too dark, so I'm going to do it on my next actual blank page. Right here is where I'm going to do it. Let me get something to hold this down so that I can write for you guys right there. All right, so the next area that I'm going to very obviously move to is going to be the middle colonies, because it comes in the middle. So here's my middle colonies. To remember my middle colonies, I have a mnemonic phrase, which is New York police need jelly donuts. And that, of course, gives us New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. So New York police need jelly donuts. And that's right there. So here is my middle colonies. And just like before, in order to remember my middle colonies, I'm going to divide it within my purse. So I have P. And for my P, I'm going to go, oh, that's the flag, that's the government. That helps me remember. So there is my political. Next inside my purse comes my economic. So here is my money, 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 money. After my money sign, in my purse, I have my religious. So here is my religious, and there is my cross right there. And then we're going to move down a little bit lower, and we are going to have our social. And of course, social is about the people. All right, so here is my purse. I'm going to go ahead to help me categorize. I'm going to draw in some lines. Straight down. Ooh, like that's nice and straight. Miss Allison did it good. Good job. All right, and then I am going to go across. These lines are usually much better because I can use the actual line that I'm given. And here we go. Go across a little bit more. And a little bit more. And so now I have my purse. Political, economic, religious, and social. Let's start in the middle colonies with our political. And so the Middle Colonies are definitely a place where people want to see, because it's going to adopt that idea that was growing in the colonies of having a self-representative government. Now, in New England, having this self-representative government, having that democracy, was all about being a part of the church. But in the middle, we're going to include a lot more people. And so we definitely see that idea of becoming a democratic republic. We have the voice of the people. We also are electing representatives to serve for the people and to help make laws for the colonies. And so that self-representative government is going to take hold and last for about 150 years there until we get to the American Revolution. Now the question is, why? Why is it going to last there? Because, and this actually goes for all of the colonies, but we're going to mention it here because of that idea of salutary neglect. The king is making his money. Money's coming back to England, so he's going to ignore or not interfere in the colonies. He's just going to kind of let them do what they want. As long as he makes his money, he's going to be like, yeah, you can do what you want. You want to elect somebody? Go for it. I'm not going to worry about it. Just make sure I get my money. Now, why is he choosing to ignore? Because he's too far away, because of distance. He is way too far, so that if he makes laws, if he says, this is what I want you to do, he's way too far to really enforce it. So his idea is, send me my money, send me my goods, give me all the stuff you got, and I'll let you kind of do what it is that you want. And so we see that idea of salutary neglect take hold, and it lasts for about 150 years. It's not until the Boston Tea Party, which we're going to talk about in just a few weeks, where that salutary neglect is going to end. All right, economic, the money factor. We all know that we like our money. The Middle Colonies are different than the New England colonies in that we have mild weather. It's not as cold. The winters are not as harsh. We have more fertile soil. And so if we remember, where you live affects how you live. So that is going to lead us to farming. We're going to see more farming in the Middle Colonies. Specifically, their cash crop is going to be grains. They're going to have grains, and that is going to give them a very, very important nickname, the breadbasket colonies. They are referred to as America's breadbasket, not because they made bread, but because they exported so much grain. Now, just because they have the grain, they're also going to have other stuff. They're going to make other stuff. You got watchmakers and brick makers and good makers. And so they're also going to be a place of manufacturing and trade. Making items. And part of the reason they're able to have this manufacturing and trade is they have good rivers, they have good port cities, which a major port for them for trading, because it has good natural harbors, it has a good coastline, is going to be New York City. Those boats can come right into New York City and stop right there, and they can have their ships filled up with the goods and take it back to England. All right, let's move on to religion. You know, we talked about New England and the Puritan religion and how everything was managed around that religion. Well, the Middle Colonies are going to have their own religion too. Specifically, we're going to see the Quakers. And we think about Quakers, think about an earthquake. They are shaking things up. They're going to be different than your Puritans. The Quakers are going to found the colony of Pennsylvania. They're going to come with William Penn. He is a Quaker. He is looking for religious freedom. He's going to bring those Quaker followers to Pennsylvania. Now, why did I say they are an earthquake and shaking things up? I said they're an earthquake and shaking things up because they're way different than the Puritans. They are all about equality and acceptance. That you didn't have to be a Quaker to live in Pennsylvania. If you wanted to move there, they would accept you with open arms. They loved other people. They are also what we call pacifists, which means they are against war, they are against fighting, they are peaceful people. They just wanted to make peace. Later, and we're going to talk about this much later in the year, this idea of equality and acceptance, this idea of being peaceful and pacifist, later we get to talk about how they help with the Underground Railroad and how they're going to help enslaved people escape. I'm sure you guys have heard those stories of the quilts and how the quilts became very important, and a lot of those quilts in the Underground Railroad, if they hung a quilt over the fence and it had a certain color star, you knew that you could stop there. A lot of that came from the Quakers because of that equality and acceptance and that peacefulness that they wanted. All right, our last category is social. And for social, this colony is all about bringing in people. You are accepted. And so they are what we call a melting pot, meaning that it's a blend of lots of different people, that if you wanted to move to a colony, you definitely wanted to go to one of the middle ones because they're going to accept you, they're going to let you come in, they're going to say, hey, we are brothers together. We are a family and you can come and live here. So here we go. We have our middle colonies. Political, that Democratic Republic. Economic, they are the breadbasket. Don't forget New York City. Religious, the Quakers were shaking it up. And then the social, they are the melting pot and accepting of other people.